Hello and welcome to the In the Money Players podcast and the In the Money Media YouTube channel. We've got bonus coverage for you on a Friday between our friends at Gulfstream and Santa Anita. We got a couple of pretty exciting carryovers for you. The Sunset 6, where we've got over $43,000, 43,878. If I'm not, the number just popped in my head. I think that's right on this bet that we're big fans of, connecting the last three from Gulfstream with the last three at Santa Anita. And there's also a pick six carryover, traditional pick six carryover in the $2 pick six at Santa. That number was over 50,000. And I think my guest Nick Tammaro has it exactly. What are we looking at added to the pot?
Close enough, Pete. 52,045.
52,045 in that one. Nick is here. So is Dean Keppler. You've read both of their work over at inthemoneypodcast.com and other places. Dean being our SoCal correspondent, and Nick sort of a jack of all trades these days, but doing plenty of coverage, especially on this Sunset 6 bet. We're trying to stay warm. We got a lot of races to get through with the 3 extra from Gulf. So we're going to dive right in, and we kick on with race number 8 from Gulfstream on Friday, 3:52, the scheduled post time for this Phillies optional claimer with a second level allowance condition, going the flying 5 on the Gulfstream turf. Dean, we'll bring you in. Who do you like to light this candle?
Yeah, my top pick in here, guys, is number 8, Coco Barrio. I really like this last race. He got in all kinds of trouble. Fans of the gallop out. He galloped about 6 or 8 lengths in front, just motoring home strongly. The only bad race on his resume here is when he bled at Colonial Downs 2 back. Other than that, he's been first or second in every race. And I just think he's going to be tough to beat here. He's making his second start back from August of 2025. And he's going to be my top selection there. I went 8-5-1 to start things off, guys, in the first leg.
All right, 8-5-1. Pleasing price on the morning line with Coco Barrio, a runner I've liked in the past, who Dean has some real confidence in. Nick, how do you see it?
Yeah, I thought Coco Barrio was dangerous as well. I think that, and Brian Nadeau has an unenviable job in making morning lines at Gulfstream with these big fields and so much racing. But if Carryover is 5-1, I'll be absolutely stunned. I mean, I think she's going to be a relatively heavy favorite in this race, a clear-cut favorite based on just some of those running lines. And I found what I thought was a pretty incredible nugget going through Formulator on Mark Casse. 300-plus day layoffs on turf overall. He's 27% with the 238 ROI, but amazingly, he's 7 for his last 8. And that's a really, really striking number. This is a horse with a lot of tactical speed, the ability to lay close. And, now that horses can't race with Lasix in stakes races, you look at her Lasix races and they're all really, really solid. Save maybe the Alley Wow, where she was put in pretty deep waters as a 3-year-old filly. So I thought she'd be particularly tough in there. I think what probably skews things is that he has Shades of Jade as the favorite. And while I have a lot of respect for the work that Phil Antonacci has done really over the last 8 months or so, the race that this horse comes out of was a complete joke. I mean, it was probably the softest one other than one at this condition or this distance and surface at Gulfstream in years. And she basically couldn't lose. That's why she went off 2-5. So I think she's a bet against here. Vindicate Cha-Cha will make sure there's some early running. I think Carryover will really be a tough customer, and I'll throw in Coco Barrio as well.
8-5, the main numbers, or did I miss one? 8-5. Love it. All right. That will get us kicked off. We got some agreement. I always like that. We've historically done really well on these shows when the team is in accordance with one another. We move to race number 9. We go to the synth. We stay at 5 furlongs for this claimer. Nick, we'll keep it with you.
Now, the horse that draws your attention immediately because of the run that he's on is the 2 Banded Rocket. And, of course, I mean Carlos David, who's been incredible over the last 3 months at Gulfstream, specifically in the month of January. I think he ended up somewhere around 16 for 42. He's just been winning relentlessly, and he claimed Banded Rocket out of a dirt race at the $25,000 beaten level, brings him right back at that same level. And his synthetic races of late have all been very good. He looks very good on the Thorograph sheets as well. So I felt like he was a major player. And to me, if the morning line is right and they shake out this way odds wise, I'd rather use the 2 and 4 and take a little bit of a swing against the 3, who I know he's got some good races going back, but they're now off a break, and you're going to have to pay the IRAD tax for Rohan Crichton, which I don't necessarily want to do. This horse clearly is training well, and I think that might might be baked into the morning line a little bit additionally, but I'll try the 2 and 4 as my top two. I fear the 6 back on the chain gang a little bit because Marty Drexler's 29%, 238 ROI, first off the claim on synthetics at Gulfstream, and this horse has run well on the synthetic up at Woodbine, so I could see him maybe being a backup along with Rachel's coach, who I'd use more so on the lower rungs.
2, 4, and 6 for Nick, and citing that trainer angles, something Dean is very known for, incorporating in the work that he does, covering Southern California on a daily basis. Who do you like in here? Do you see that angle on the Marty Drexler horse? And what do you think of this field in general?
Yeah. Regarding DRF formula stats, I had a little bit different take on here. I'm kind of leaning heavily on the 3 horse in here. Simply for you, jockey trainer combo, 61, 100 days, almost 70% for this combo here. 9 for 14, 351 ROI. The last race he comes out of October, 3 next out winners. I like the 3 furlong blowout work on January 18th. I just, 4-time winner over the synthetic here. I just think the 3 is, the horse to beaten here, but I can't argue with the other horses too. I went 3, 4, 2, but as far as the pick 6 goes, the Sunset 6, I'm going to lean heavily on the 3 here. I just think it's, a good spot for him.
All right, we got warring angles. I like that. And depending on how you're going to attack this bet, maybe you can include everybody that we talked about there. And then, of course, we do these shows and we talk about the pick 6. Pick 6 is not a bet for every horse player and every horse player's budget. So you can always pick and choose, take what we're saying, combine it with your own thoughts, and attack any of the many other pools and wagering opportunities that we have. Let's get to the nightcap at Gulfstream. This will pay off a bunch of late picks, including the Tropical Park pick 3, which will be on races 6, 8, and 10. That's the last 3 every day. Another very player-friendly wager. Specifically, we've got a maiden claimer going a mile 16th on the turf. Nick, who's going to win it?
I like the 2 Lomax. First off, the claim for Carlos David. Last out, pretty pace compromise, slow tempo in there. Didn't get involved. Obviously going to need to be ridden a little bit more early to get some forward position. And, while I have a lot of respect for the work Todd Pletcher does, Carlos David's so good off the claim. And this horse kind of fits what I like handicapping-wise, given that he tried to rally into that slow pace. And there's really plenty of pace signed on in here. You've got Make Me Famous stretching out. You've got Operation Thunderbolt on the outside, who's been involved in 2 really strong paces in his last couple of starts. Ski Bum on the rail feels like he wants to be forward. So there's pretty much has to be a decent early gallop in here. And I thought the 2 and 3 were the horses that I wanted to use most. I could probably see myself backing up with horses like the 1, 6, and 9, and probably casting a bit wider net here just in order for a little bit of survival.
Carlos David's been flying. Nick wants to stay aboard that train. Dean, how about you? Who do you like in the nightcap in Miami?
Yeah, I mean, the 5 is going to get a lot of support here, and I think justifiably so. Big drop in class here by grade 1 winner gift box. Bred for the turf. I think, like Nick said, it's probably going to get a more forward trip in here, but I'm not going to single this horse. I think it's more of a spread race for me. And I also like the 2 and the 3 are going first off the claim as well. For me, it was 5, 3, 2, 1. But like I said, the 5 is probably going to get way over bet in here, but it just looks like a spread race to me.
What was your stand on the 5, Nick? Did you have a breeding question there specifically?
Yeah, this is just a negative move for Victor Barboza Jr. This is a guy that does not really excel on the turf. And what I'm surprised by is if they wanted to drop, they wouldn't have tried to find a synthetic race, because he does actually have some decent percentages on synthetics. The 3 siblings all tried turf. Nobody was victorious. Or I'm sorry, 1 out of 3 were victorious. So it just doesn't seem to me to be a big turf move up situation. And I think you're going to have to pay a really heavy note having to deal with IRAD and the class drop. So I opted just to exclude this one.
I get it. I mean, for me, I would want it if it'd all come down to ticket construction, right? I mean, the horse has enough ability. I'd love to keep on side, but plenty of agreement there as well with the 2, 3, and 1 going to be appearing on everybody's tickets. Let's just hope one of them wins, and we can all take our dinner break after Gulfstream and then get ready and come back with. Actually, there's not much of a dinner break today, right? Because the let's see when that race goes. 5:02. Oh, I see what happens here. So, right, here's how it's going to go down. The Sunset 6 will end, and then the pick 6 will be right about ready to begin. 10 minutes later, less than that probably, at 5:02 with Santa Anita's 4th race on Friday, where we've got $16,000 claimers going a mile on the dirt. Nick, I'll throw the ball right back in your court to see who you like to potentially kick off this pick 6 with the carryover at Santa.
Yeah, I mean, you have to like the pace scenario for the 6 lay is Candy, who figures to be forwardly placed in a race that doesn't have a lot of speed. So I would imagine, he'll be one of the main 2 for me to use. I was kind of on both of the outside horses in here, the 6 and 7, a little chalky to get it started, but class-wise, I think they both fit. I know Speed Grazy was beaten 2 back by Resemblance, but it feels like this time around, I would want to favor Speed Grazy. Resemblance is first off a claim by Doug O'Neill, who, despite having a very good meet, shockingly, has pretty poor numbers over the last few years off the claim. So I was mainly 6-7. I would back up with the 2, though.
Is there interest from you, Dean, also in these 2 at the top of the market, or do you want to bring in something at a bigger price potentially in this 4th at Santa?
No, I didn't have anything creative here. I went 2, 5, 6, but I guess you could throw the other horse in there as well. And I do agree with Nick that, the 6 looks like he should get the lone speed in here, Leah's Candy. Not that I entirely trust her, but, this looks like that kind of race. You're probably going to have to spread a little bit. And true, Doug O'Neill has, not the greatest stats first off the claim, but leading trainer. It's kind of hard to throw, 2 off my ticket there, having 1, 2 straight. And, as far as another horse to use, the 5 makes a lot of sense, Contrary Chieftain, and also the 7. So it'll be a bit of a spread for me in here as well.
We go on to the downhill turf course for the fillies and mares at allowance level in race number 5. Field of 6 going postward. You do have a solid favorite on the morning line in Certitude, but also 2 right in behind with Tahini and Young Love. And then I'm about to go right behind them at 7-2. So looking pretty competitive, at least in terms of the morning line. How does it play out for you on paper, though, Dean? What numbers do you want on your tickets?
Yeah, my top back in here was the 1 I'm about to go. I think he hit some traffic trouble at a critical point in the stretch there. He was no match for the race winner, but clearly second there. Makes his second try off the bench for Leonard Powell. I think he should improve today. I love Mirko. He's been riding really great out in Southern California. He's kind of found his groove now, especially over the turf course. He's got post 1. He's going to have to work out a trip from there, but I think he's going to be able to. And then, the 2 Certitude makes a lot of sense, shortening back up to a sprint today. His horse is ultra consistent, haven't hit the board in 12 of 17 starts for Sadler. He's trained well off the minute freshman, gets Hector Barrios, who's also, Pete, as you know, one of my favorite grass riders as well. And, for me, it was 1, 2, 4 in here. But the horse I'm probably going to take a little bit of a stand against was the 3, adding blinkers. And he's probably going to be on the front here, and I may be kicking myself for throwing him out, but I just got a feeling that some of the other horses are going to get a better trip in here, and hopefully the 3 just doesn't kick away to an easy lead. So the 3 is a bet against for me here.
Interesting. You're going to be sweating, I think, when they're turning in, because I do think she projects to be there at that point in the race. How they finish, I'm not sure. Nick, how do you see it? Or we'll start with Tahini specifically, this 3-runner that Dean is against. Are you with or against, and what are your general thoughts here?
Yeah, I saw this very, very similarly to Dean. I actually picked it 1, 2, 4 as well. I would be against Tahini. I actually think Tahini's best chance would be to come from a little bit off of it, like she did in that 5 furlong turf win at Del Mar back in August of 24. I don't think that, this is one of those races where it feels like 3 or 4 horses want to be forward while there's no one that really is a need to lead type. When Barrios has been on Certitude, she's generally been pretty involved, whether it's short or long. So she's not going to let anybody get too far away. And the thing is, if Dean and I like a horse like I'm about to go, we're not exactly expecting her to come from out the back, right? We're expecting her to be firmly in the mix as well. So yeah. I think we're looking for it to be a race that's sort of won by a horse that's in attendance of the pace. So I couldn't really make a class angle on Tahini. And quite honestly, having just lost at this condition at 8-1, why would I take her back with no real excuse? Why would I take her back at 3-1? It just felt like a bad value play. So I'll be mainly 1-2 in a bet like the pick 6. And I could see if I had a backup, it would be the 4.
Good case against a horse that I do think is going to draw some money, if nothing else. Let's go to race number 6. We've got this starter allowance on the dirt going 6.5. Nick, we'll keep it with you.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I wasn't so chalky, but I picked the 4, Liam Smith. I like his maiden win last out. If the numbers really bear out, then he's going to be really tough to beat. I mean, that 89 buyer last out was sky high. It towers over everybody else in here. And the alternatives just don't look really that great. I also don't mind that he kind of draws right outside two of the inside speed types, figuring that Send It Mo and Colleague will probably both go. You might get some speed on the outside as well from Straight Buzzin'. We'll see. He wasn't exactly that fast in his debut, early or late. So I felt like this thing set up really nicely for Liam Smith. Jeff Mullins has a limited sample of first off the claim. Winners last out on dirt. He's 3 for 6, 283 ROI. I mean, to me, this is probably one of the 2 or 3 sharpest claiming barns in Southern California. And he had to be delighted with the race this horse ran last time out because it keeps him eligible for some of these starter allowance 50s. And he also got the maiden win. So I think this horse is going to be pretty tough right back. I didn't know, and I'm interested to see what Dean's take is on the 5 My Boy Stan, because I love cutbacks, but this is a horse now that obviously hasn't been with Nolan Ramsey for the last few weeks. He's been with somebody in Southern California and at least posted a workout that I think the clockers didn't have anything terribly or actually the DRF clocker kind of shat all over the last workout. So I don't know kind of what exactly to expect from My Boy Stan.
Is he still a horse? We'll find out. What do you think, Dean, about the favorite Liam Smith, My Boy Stan, and all the rest?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to lean heavily on the 4-3. 4 is probably going to be on a lot of, singles on a lot of tickets, and justifiably so. That $50,000 claim may turn out to be a real bargain for this Mullins barn here. If he runs back to that number, looks really tough to beat. He's going to be singled on my ticket. I picked the 5/3 just reluctantly. Wasn't a big fan on perhaps the cutback. It helps here. But for me, it's just all about the 4. And I just really can't make a strong case for anybody else if he runs back to that number.
9 to 5 seems like a total impossibility too, right? This horse looks to me, even if this field stays intact, more like 4 to 5.
We'll see how they bet it. We'll see how it turns out. We resume with race number 7, a starter allowance going 6.5. This one is a 6.5 on the main course, if I have that correct in my notes. This starter allowance. It's an important race because it's leg 2 of that all-turf pick 3. It's going to kick off the late pick 3. And of course, it's the resumption of our Sunset 6 that we covered the 3 Gulfstream races earlier in the show. How do you see this one, Nick Tammaro?
I mean, I don't want to harp on it in terms of prices, but if the morning line gives any indication, aren't we supposed to bet the 7 like this? If this horse is 8 to 1, then he's the best bet in this race by far, based on his last. And I'm concerned about the sprint. I don't really know what his best distance is. Up to this point, he's had limited opportunities sprinting, and I don't want to hold that downhill race on opening day of 2024 against him. That was a much better field top to bottom, but he feels like he's coming in the right way. I think the outside draw is good. Florent Giroux is now based out west for a period of time. He's a guy who generally wants to ride his horses a little bit more forwardly, which I think would work to this horse's advantage. So I was just going to kind of use the 1-3-7 equally and pick the 7 on top and maybe bet the 7 to win if he's 5 or 6 to 1. But I don't know where he's going to land price wise. It's a tricky race with a lot of horses shortening up that generally have been routers. I liked and I actually bet Proudly Hailed last time and took kind of a dirty beat. But I don't really know if I like the horse back. I feel like this race is a lot tougher top to bottom. So I was 7-3-1.
7-3-1 for Nick. And that's a great point that I probably don't do enough trying to highlight where we think value is going to be in win pools, because we're here talking pick 6s, we're talking pick 3s. Nothing wrong with the old pick 1, especially if you've got one like this that you might be able to hang your hat on at the right kind of price.
It's the pool I handle the most in, I can tell you that.
Let's talk to you, Dean, and get your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I had the same top horse, a couple different ones underneath for 2nd and 3rd, but I also like the 7 American Glory. I'm with Nick. I don't think we're going to get anywhere near that 8 to 1. Probably not even half of that, I would think. It seems like a inflated morning line to me. If he runs back to that last race, he's right behind. He just lost to Captain Choo-Choo's that came back to win again. 2nd off the mini freshening for Leonard Powell there. Looks like a great fit in there. And, if he's anywhere near, I think 3 to 1 or say 4 to 1, I think it's a great price on that horse. Then I used a couple of different ones underneath. I used the 2 and the 4, who kind of made a little bit sense to me. The 2's coming off a Mullins claim. First off the claim, great stats there. Hard to throw out. Wind was decent last time. And then I used the 4 as well. But, for me, I'm going to concentrate on the 7 here. I think if we can get anywhere half of that price, I think it's be a good win bet as well as part of the pick 6 in here.
So that's if you're going to bet at 4-1, sounds like you think about 7-2's fair odds there on American Glory. What do you think, Nick? What price? At what price would you want to bet American Glory to win?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like 4 or 5-1 ideally, but I'm not going to be surprised if what Dean just said plays out and we see this horse dip as low as 3. That last number is going to really hit people right in the face. And the other thing is this horse was 9-2 in an 8-horse field. And, that carried the 50 starter allowance, 3 life designation, which this race does as well. But there's actually a horse in here with only 1 win. So, theoretically, this might be an easier race than that was. It feels that way, and it feels like tactically this horse is just in a great spot.
Race number 8 is a dirt allowance, our featured race of the day. Fillies and mares, 4-year-old and up. Just 5 are going to postward. There's going to be a couple vying for favoritism at the top of the market. Dean, curious to know if you're going to go with one of those runners or if this could be a case of what the late, great Jeff Sopman used to say, short field, long price. What'll it be for you, Dean?
Yeah, me, I'm going to single here and take a shot with, the 1 Our Moonlight. I just think he has a distinct pace advantage over the other horse that's going to get a lot of support in here, which is the 4 Run a Mile in My Shoes. I see the 1 on a clear lead here today. It's going to be sent. It's got blinkers on. I'm just going to hope that the rest of the field is going to be able to run him down. But as far as pick 6 purposes, I'm going to lean heavily on him. He's going to be my single Our Moonlight. And then underneath, I don't have anything too dramatic. The 4 makes a lot of sense in here. Been a popular commodity at the claiming box the last several starts. Fits on figures. Second start off the Minifreshing going out for Peter Miller today makes a lot of sense. But I think the 1 is going to hold a distinct pace advantage, hopefully over the 4. If I'm reading this race right, and I used a 2 for third 2. Just a hard trying 7-year-old mare Share Future. Was 4th from behind the top choice back on January 11th. Been part of the Superfecta in 12 consecutive races. And for those that play Superfectas, obviously 1 you got to throw in there. But for me, it's all about the 1 here. And I'm going to just try to get out of this race with, the 1 is my single here.
1 for horizontals. I will list in the notes we send around to In the Money Plus subscribers, the 2 and the 4 as deeper backups for underneath purposes specifically. I totally see the race could play out that way. Is there any chance, Nick, that Our Moonlight and Run a Mile in My Shoes are going to hook up like a match race and set this up for something at a price? Or do you two think it's going to be one of those 2?
It should be one of those 2. I think if anything, and I don't think that Dean would necessarily have a big issue with this, but I could see Tiago Pereira maybe deferring if Jaramillo goes hard out of the gate on Run a Mile in My Shoes. Jaramillo is I think Pete Aiello dubbed him the Minister of Speed quite a while ago in South Florida. He's a guy who wants to be forwardly placed. Run a Mile in My Shoes PP lines just cracked me up because they ran this horse on turf over and over and over, and her 2 fast dirt races are both very good, right? They would put her competitive at this condition, and she just had limited opportunities to run there. I know the figure was higher on her most recent dirt start. I actually think her Del Mar race was better because there was more pace on that day, and she actually ran very well, holding everybody off. So I felt like one of those 2 would probably win. I couldn't really differentiate terribly much between the 2 of them. I think the 1 is probably going to be better going long. The interesting thing about the 2 who Dean brought up, number 1, she doesn't really win enough, but she's definitely better going long to me. So I actually think there's probably more of an upset chance than the public might think because she's going to be roughly 2 to 3 times the price of the longer of the 2 of that pair of the 1 and 4. So I think the value here may be to maybe throw her on a few more tickets if you're skinny somewhere else to try and get that 4-1, 9-2 type horse into the mix, because I don't think she's really that far behind a horse like Our Moonlight. And given the amount of time she spent inside last time out, I could give her a bit of an excuse for that.
Interesting. So how should I list it for the official picks?
You could put 4-1-2 is how I'm going to pick it, but I would use the 1 and 4 as A's and the 2 as a backup.
Okay, 1 and 4 as A's and the 2 as a backup. And the 2, if forced to pick between the 4 and the 1, you'd make the 4 the top pick?
I would.
Okay, excellent. Let's get to the nightcap. Very important race on this Friday night, 7:30 Eastern. It will be happening. $25,000 claimers going a mile and an eighth on the turf. Nick, who's your idea of the winner?
So I'm going to have a little bit of a price here, and hopefully this puts some value into my ticket. I like the 3 bad to the bone, so I know is taking a gigantic jump in class. However, I would remind everybody 25 is the basement on turf. So it's not like this is some kind of big jump. You're not going to get a lower priced claiming race on turf here. You start to pick through this horse's PPs. His turf races are very good.
Mm-hmm.
And use the thoroughgraph sheets. I mean, he's run a 10, 9, 10, and 11 in his last 4 turf starts. Those are all good enough to win this. I understand he was more of a closer back then. This is a race without a lot of speed. I like the jockey switch to Escobedo to ride this horse a little forwardly. So I'm going to try and see if he can at least get forward and maybe outlast some of these in here. The 2 Precision, I think, is dangerous. I don't love how much they're dropping this horse. They obviously bought him privately and brought him over. And now he's in for a tag, which is an awfully long way from a stake race, albeit, 11 months ago. I also don't love that McCarthy's had this horse at San Luis Rey, so we have no window into – it's nothing against Michael at all, but we have no window into how he's been training. Yep. He does get Lasix for the first time, obviously facing far weaker. One of those sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't horses, in that if you don't use him, you're going to feel like a complete idiot when he wins. And if you do use him and he finishes up the track, you're going to feel like a complete idiot for wasting money on a horse taking a ridiculous class drop off a long layoff. So I picked it 3, 2, 4. I would use all of them at the end of the day because I think Silly Rabbit is the other pace horse that could be involved early. But what I would do is come back and play another ticket with the 3, especially maybe in some of the shorter horizontal sequences. So love the $3 turf pick 3 out there. I might try and get alive, for $3 or $6 on a ticket that went something like, 137 with 14 with 3, something like that.
I like it. Nick going with the George Thorogood hunch play as the top selection in here. Dean, are you with him? You guys have had a lot of agreement today, some key disagreements. Curious how we led in the last race we're going to talk about on this show.
Yeah, I no doubtly had some trouble with this last race here, trying to decipher it. I really wanted to like the 4 Silly Rabbit. I picked him on top reluctantly, just because, he has better races going long, but if you go back and watch that last replay, he really had no excuse, and he was a tired horse at the end of that 6.5 furlongs, which makes me a little worried. The fact that, he's run well long, I threw him on there reluctantly as my top pick. Hopefully, he got enough out of that race, off the 6-month bench, and he's going to run a much improved race. He's going to have to today because that, like that last race was just awful, I thought. Like I said, he had a ground-saving trip, and he was just a tired horse chasing – moderate fractions and not what you like to see, but I picked him on top. I think he's going to get something out of that race. Hopefully 2nd off the bench, prefers going long, is going to be forwardly placed. So for me, number 4, Silly Rabbit, and the 2, there definitely is some question marks here. Some big drop in class, a long layoff, training over at San Luis Rey, as Nick had said. You don't know what to make of it. The works look decent over there, but it's kind of hard to tell. Picks up Lasix today. Kind of the horse that, that could win it 4 to 5, get bet down and say, why didn't I just single that horse? But, he's got some question marks. So, I'm going to throw him on my ticket for me. And as far as the 3rd horse here, I guess it was a toss-up between the 5 and 6, where I thought it was going to be making up some ground here late. Prince Dulcie makes a lot of sense. Solid like 3 again for Carla Gaines. But, made up a lot of ground last time from a tough post. But for me, it's the 4-2 and then a toss-up between the 5 and 6. I'm just hoping that Silly Rabbit runs back to – because he runs back to some of those races where he was routing, going 2 turns. He's going to be the horse to beat in here, but I just would like to have seen more out of his prep race, and I just didn't see it.
Dean and Nick both point out the difficulty of a horse like Precision, and it is that age-old question where you do risk feeling silly either way. But for me, I'll lean towards including a horse like that, and I can, because when they win without you, that pain to me is worse than the pain of the extra dollars that you're spending. Just because I can write those off the way I write off my insurance. It's insanity insurance. You know what I mean? It's if you have to choose one of those 2 difficult things, that's the way I like to play it. All right, we're out of time for this special Friday edition of the show. You can read much more from Dean over on inthemoneypodcast.com every racing day at Santa Anita. You can follow him at Kep's Corner on Twitter. Nick Tammaro writes for us at inthemoneypodcast.com, appears on these shows and does some other great work as well. Best way to follow everything he has cooking, probably also through social media at NTAM1215. Guys, really appreciate your help today.
Thank you, my friend. Good luck.
Thank you. Good luck.
All right. Make sure you get involved with the great racing at Santa Anita and Gulfstream this weekend. Thanks so much to our partners over there, especially our buddy Pete Rotundo, Tyler Frausto as well. He's always sending emails with all the latest information. Really appreciate the work that he does. We will be back with much more content soon. Make sure you subscribe to the In the Money Media YouTube channel, and may you win all your photos.